Boy, MGF can be a real piece of work here. It's Wednesday. It's Dynamite. Let's do the recap. Pitter Power Boys. Let's just get at it. So, on today's episode of DA Wrestling's Dynamite recap, MJF and Ospreay get physical. Britt Baker, DMD, and Mercedes Moné gets a little kind of physical. Not that kind of physical, you sick freaks. And I go over the AEW All-In card. But first, we're going to start off with Swerve Strickland and Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson. Guys, gotta stop doing that. So, Swerve and Danielson end up closing the show out. Swerve was introduced. We were in Cardiff. So, obviously, we had a lot of UK talent there. Surprise, surprise. Happens all the time, even here in Canada. Nigel McGuinness introduced Swerve Strickland. Swerve came out. Nigel beforehand, too, kind of really just put the emphasis on how good Swerve is and how much it was really well documented, too, by Tony Schiavone, as well as everybody else in the commentary, how much his disdain for Bryan Danielson is. Swerve comes out. He talks about, well, first off, Nigel McGuinness actually first kisses his butt by an awful lot, saying how great is his physical condition. He's just absolutely on top of his game. Tells him how he's undefeated this year and everything. Swerve talks about how Swerve starts talking about how thankful he is for that. Starts saying how great he is, who he beat. He starts naming off Samoa Joe. Starts naming off people like Hangman Page twice. Eventually getting to Will Ospreay, the man who he last beat. Who also happened to be there today. We'll get to that too. And he talks about how, Daniel, Brian, you keep on talking a lot because how you're going to retire and all these things. You want to be with your family. Swerve takes it as a pure insult. Takes it as a complete utter disrespect. Because he works his butt off so hard to have that title, to be the champion, to be all those things. And he finds it ridiculous that Bryan Danielson wants to do these things and just retire like that. And he says, though, after the match is over, if you want to come out of retirement, you better not, because I'm going to be there. And that was all fine and good until he gets in and starts initiating with his family, which in turn brings out Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson comes right in before he can say anything. Danielson hits him with the running knee. That's when Bryan Danielson starts talking. Starts talking about how he's hearing all night how people talk about how they're the best in the world. Quite frankly, Bryan Danielson says he's been the best in the world for the past 20 years. That he's going to keep going as long as he can, and that he is going to walk in to All In. You're going to get the American Dragon. You're going to get the one time that he's going to win this title. He's putting title versus career, folks. Bryan Danielson is going to have it. He's going to get that Danielson that you want to see, that everyone wants to see. So what is going to happen there? I'll get to the predictions later on. Not a prediction, but I'll run down the match card. Boy, this was actually a very promo-filled Dynamite, to be honest with you folks. A lot of promos, a lot of interview stuff. A couple of really good matches, though. We'll get into those. But I'd be remiss if I didn't end up going next into the MJF versus Will Ospreay, because that was a massively large segment of the show. Will Ospreay comes out to a massive ovation in Wales. And he kind of quite comical that he got this big, because he's an Englishman in Wales. Well, before he even starts talking, though, MJF comes out. Just in his American flag suit, right? Red, white, and blue all over the place with his American title. First off, MJF starts laughing. They're laughing. Ospreay starts talking how he's coming in to take that title and clean up basically the mess that MJF started with turning that international title into the American title. And how he's just going to ruin everything that MJF's trying to build. MJF starts laughing, saying, here's a bit of reality to you. I got a call from Tony Khan. I had to come back early from injury because I wasn't 100% cleared because you can't do your job. Very reminiscent of a certain individual a long time ago named John Cena and Roman Reigns in the WWE. Very similar. So basically, MJF and Ospreay go toe on this one. Like MJF calls Ospreay an arrogant prick. Ospreay's response is, "You have no right to call me an arrogant prick, so shut up." Ospreay they could not. Ospreay goes even says Tony Khan told me before I was even signed here, because I wasn't signed here. I was all in last year, and I wasn't even signed. That I had to come in because the champion can't put on proper wrestling matches like the way Ospreay can. Ospreay, MJF then takes out a little offense to that and says, "Look, I don't know who told you that you're the best in the world because you're not." To which Ospreay's response was simple: "If you go to Japan, so a little Japanese there, Australia, all of Europe, even the US, into your own state, you ask who the best in the world is, they say Ospreay." So doesn't have to say anything to that, right? And you say, besides, MJF then responds to is like, the only way you can even beat me is if you use that Tiger Driver. We all know that you cannot pull the trigger that way. So Ospreay starts getting even more personal after this though. Ospreay starts saying that nobody loves you. Nobody loves you at all. You are just not lovable. You're not. You just can't. You were being loved, and all of a sudden you just turn your back on it because you're just not lovable and not like. Which MJF's response was, "I was loved until you showed up." So you start seeing the jealousy that MJF. Now you start seeing the real reason as to why MJF is so hell bent against Ospreay. It's because he's jealous. Because Ospreay is so far jealous. Ospreay comes in with this massive, massive background and being literally known as the best in the world for the past number of years. We're going to tell that MJF's been claiming he is. But Ospreay literally has more of the facts to back it up, to be honest with you. MJF then starts getting a little more personal, saying, "You're absolutely right. Yeah, you are really great. You're all these things." Then he starts bringing his family into it, saying, "You're with this wonderful." I was talking to your old lady, your wife, and talks about how he's not really the father of Ospreay's child. Ospreay isn't really the father of his child. They started getting real personal. Even Ospreay's like, "This is a little too far." MJF gets really close to him and says, "The next time you have a child, it probably won't be yours either," which really pissed off Ospreay. Now they've made a commentary claiming that they cannot harm each other, or there'll be fines. Ospreay then turns around up to Tony Schiavone and says, "How much is Tony Khan? You're there. How much is my fine?" And Tony Schiavone responds, "About $100,000. Just $100K." Thinks about it for a couple seconds and just attacks MJF. They start brawling. Security comes on in like the bloody army just showed up. Right? They back him all the way. Eventually, MJF gets three, hits Ospreay with the diamond ring, lays him out, then pile drives him, gives him the brain buster, threatens to do the Tiger Driver until more security comes out, gets MJF off him, and goes from there. Now, we're going to go really quickly here. Ospreay ends up getting laid out by MJF. Later in the show, Ospreay's at the back, bleeding, just gushing out blood. Bryan Danielson comes up to him and says, "Just do it," and leaves, referring to the Tiger Driver. Because MJF in the promo did say, "You cannot beat me without the Tiger Driver. That's the only way you can beat me." Basically gave him the keys to the car. Like, "Oh, here's a Ferrari. Can't drive it? No. Oh, here's the keys, though." Basically just told him how to do it, in a sense. Maybe not the right analogy. Anyway, guys, also too, guys, if you're liking the content here, make sure you like, share, subscribe down below here. It's a small button press for you guys, but a big press for us. We appreciate all the support that we get from you guys. Make sure you guys are following us all on Spotify as well and YouTube, Podbean as well. Very important on Podbean, right? As well as every other platform that we do have there, right? It is in the logo and description in the intro. Let's continue on though. Let's get out of this. Anyway, that gets to our first match of the card, which was Jericho versus Tommy Billington. Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, but not the Dynamite Kid. Obviously, he did pass away a couple of years ago, but it's actually his nephew. Looks a little bit like the original, like Dynamite Kid. Not too crazy. Like definitely not as big as Dynamite. Basically, this match was basically showed up to show who Tommy Billington is, because he's been doing a lot of stuff on Collision and more like Collision and Rampage. You don't see a lot because a lot of people don't really watch those episodes. So they want to give him a little more AEW Dynamite exposure. Jericho obviously won the match here, right? But like I said, it did show off Tommy Billington a lot, right? Jericho after the win, he got a promo saying he's going to beat Hook. No matter he's going to bury Book, he's going to be done. Hook comes out, stares Jericho face to face, and gets chokeslammed for his troubles. So, gotta wonder what's going to happen there. Probably, according to like when Doug says, the wrestling logic says Hook's probably going to win. And to be honest with you, I'll get to my predictions on that later on. I go run another card. We'll go from there. Next match of the card, we had a Saraya sighting. We don't see a lot of her nowadays in AEW. You see a lot of her at the beginning when she first came back to wrestling. You don't see a lot of her anymore. I don't know if it's just a injury related, basically, or just trying something different. But she ends up coming out and facing Toni Storm in a women's title match. Look, Saraya was never going to win this match, right? It was an excellent match, though. I highly suggest you go watch it. Women's match. Saraya did not win. Toni Storm ended up winning the match. Excellent display of technical prowess. All types of good wrestling. And yeah, the match though, Toni Storm did win. Toni Storm comes out. Sorry, Toni Storm. My apologies. Toni Storm does win. She's standing in the ring. Mariah May comes out and attacks with the same shoe that she used on her to blade her up the first time in Calgary. I don't know what's going on here. I've been saying Mariah May is going to win this title. I'm starting to question it. I really am. Starting to question where this is going with Mariah May and Toni Storm. Because I don't see another challenger right now for Toni Storm who could possibly take that title off her. But we'll get to that bit. All right. Then, earlier on the show, they announced, what's kind of was announced, they had an interview with Hangman Page. They talked about it being in the Gauntlet match at All In for a chance to face the AEW champion. And Hangman says, I'm going to click out. Everybody, doesn't matter who it is. So happens we saw Evil Uno sighting. He came out and he asked Uno, who was yes, best friend. Yes, friend Hang, what's up? Are you in the Gauntlet match? He's like, oh, yes, I am. I'm in the Gauntlet match. And I go, Uno is back. Well, I didn't last too long. Hangman hit him with a chair and said, I'm taking everybody out. Nobody's going to get in my way to stop me to get Swerve Strickland. So we know where this is going. So he pretty much gave away who's going to win that match. It's probably going to be Hangman. There's no way it's not. That's probably Swerve's next challenger. After that, we did end up getting Claudio versus Okada for the Continental title. Really great match, though. Excellent match. Went back and forth the entire time. Big pause for Claudio Castagnoli as well as Okada. Did come to a draw, though. I'm a little surprised by that it came into a draw. I don't understand why they went with that logic, but it kind of makes it a little more sense to where we're after I tell you this, but it still doesn't make sense to why you just have to go into a draw on this. So ended up going to a 20-minute draw. Young Bucks come out saying, excellent match, guys. That was fantastic. Amazing. Ask the crowd, they want to go another 5 minutes. Everybody goes, why? Yeah, let's do it. Young Bucks just did say, nope, not happening. Okada's contract says 20 minutes, not 25. They simply asked, Claudio, we need you to leave the ring now because we have a trios match coming up right now that you need to get out of the ring for, or we're gonna have to do it to you forcefully. Claudio puts his mouth guard back in, Bell ready to go at it. Next thing you know, Darby Allin music hits. He starts coming out, followed by FTR, and the brawl ensues. Claudio and Okada fighting all the way to the back, leaving it to a trios match of Darby Allin and FTR versus Okada and the Young Bucks. Now, this match is a lot of fun. It's all a little bit all over the place, right? A couple Otis stings by Darby Allin, as well as everybody else. Jack Perry and him kind of squared off a little bit, along with FTR and the Young Bucks. At the end of all this, too, FTR ends up hitting a suplex from the top rope, fall for the splash, followed by a coffin drop. Darby Allin and FTR end up winning. At the end of the match, though, the Acclaim show up. Max Caster just talking. I mean, he is the best wrestler in the world. You know, the Scissor Man himself, Anthony Bolin's right there. Say how you guys can't even beat us in 1 week. So All In, they claim that. And this whole match there, they're going to walk out as the tag team champions. Max Caster did also call FTR the court jesters and called the Young Bucks princesses. So there you go. That's a little more heat there for it. We'll get to this match too here. I've already talked about last week that I think the Acclaim is going to win, but we'll get to that too a little more. Let's see what else happened on the show tonight, folks. There's a lot more to it. I think. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Like I said, a lot of promos on the shows. A lot of stuff really putting towards what's going on, really pushing out, pushing All In this weekend. We didn't get to read out. I almost forgot. Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné. Mercedes comes out. They open up the show. Britt Baker comes on down. Mercedes Moné comes on down. Moné calls Britt a thing for the past. Says she's just in the past there. She's nothing. That Moné's the future and the present. Britt Baker says how she has always been the gold standard of AEW. It's always only been her. That Mercedes Moné has only been one of four, referring to the WWE's four horsewomen of wrestling. If you need a reminder of who that is, that would have been the Mercedes Moné, formerly as Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, as well as Becky Lynch. Let's refer to that. Eventually, this does break down. She gets tired of talking to Mercedes. Since they cannot attack each other clause, she attacks Camille. Throws the table onto both of them. They get out of the ring. Britt stands tall, the TBS title. We'll see what's going to happen there. I still think possibly Britt might win it, but I actually don't think Britt's going to win anymore, but we'll get to that too. I think actually Moné's probably going to be the one that wins it too, with some help from Camille. Anyway, folks, that was AEW Dynamite. That was the review. Now let's get to stuff. Let's run down the match card here for all AEW All In Dynamite. There's quite a lot on the card. There's a ton on the card, actually, like they usually do for these big events. So what we have Swerve versus Danielson for the AEW World title versus career. I don't see Danielson winning this. If he does, it's going to be a title. It's going to be a win, then a drop the title, which would then have to set up a tournament or something like that. To me, it just makes no sense. I think Swerve's going to win this one. I think Bryan Danielson is going to retire, or might do sporadic appearances here or there, but probably not wrestle anymore at all. He's talked a long time about this. It's something that he wants to do. He's done a lot. There's no way he's not going to do it. So, I mean, I doubt he'll go back to WWE, but we'll see what happens there. So take Swerve to win this one. Moné versus Baker. I said before, I think Moné is going to win this. I think Camille is going to take the title off Moné. That's going to be the one that does it. I'm going to stick to that. I don't think Britt's going to win. It's not that I don't want Britt to win. I just don't see it in the cards right now. I see Britt eventually win. Maybe Britt will eventually take the title again, but it'll be off Camille. But I think Camille's going to be one down the line who takes Moné. I think they're going to have Moné carry that title for a little bit. Try to build some kind of prestige to it like it was with Jade Cargill, because it really hasn't really been that since then. I mean, Statler did an okay job, but they didn't really get to where it was with Cargill. So we'll see where it goes with Monet, but I think Camille's the one that takes the title off from Monet down the line. MJF versus Ospreay. Look, Ospreay's going to win this. He's going to hit that Tiger Driver. He's going to win. That's what's going to cause him to win. He's going to hit the Tiger Driver. They gave the keys to the car. They know what's going to happen. Ospreay's going to win. Next match. Toni Storm versus Mariah May. This one I'm a little confused with now. The past number of weeks, I have said Mariah May is going to win this. I'm starting to question a little bit. I'm going to stick with Mariah May, though. I think it's the best way to do it. I don't see who else could possibly challenge Toni Storm for this title. I just don't understand who it could be down the line. I just don't. They have to build somebody, like really build somebody in order to be the one that takes to Toni Storm. Because just had Saraya tonight lose on Dynamite, so it can't be Saraya. It's probably going to be, I'm just going to stick with Mariah May, and then Mariah May is going to go a hell of a long title run. I think that's what I think is going to happen. Or, yeah, I got nothing. Yeah. Unless they're going to give it to Sheeta or somebody else. No, stick with Mariah May. It's going to be Mariah May that wins. It'd be great. Bucks, FTR, acclaimed. Tag team title match. It's acclaimed. There's no way it's not going to be. It's a good way to get the titles off the Bucks. Right? Because the Bucks don't necessarily have to take the pin here. Okay, they can be given to FTR. I mean, either way, either team can take a pin. It ain't going to affect them that much. It ain't going to affect them at all, actually. Right? The acclaimed will probably win and walk out the tag team champions, and that's how you get the title out of it. It's a good way to do it. That way there's no problems. Okay? Casino Garland match. It's Hangman. Doesn't matter who else you think, it's Hangman. They're setting up Hangman versus Swerve. That's going to be the next one that goes off. Swerve versus Hangman will be the next title match that goes on for Swerve. As far as like the pay-per-view goes. All right. Darby Allin versus Jack Perry. They mentioned on AEW Dynamite that Darby Allin is undefeated in coffin matches. Now, I'm pretty sure he's only had like 2. So, that being said, he's probably going to lose. I think Jack Perry retains the title here. I don't see Darby Allin winning this. I don't know why. I just don't. I think Perry is going to win. And to be honest, Perry hasn't had that much of a title run to begin with anyway with this title. Give him some more time with it. Right? I've also noticed, too, they kind of changed the colors. The TNA title is all really black now. It's kind of interesting, though. So Cody's was like red. I think Darby's was like black or something like that. Or they kept it red. Brody Lee's was purple. It's kind of interesting. Like, depending on what their like favorite colors are, they tend to be more matched to that. So it's kind of interesting. I just noticed that tonight. Jericho versus Hook. It's going to be Hook. It's Hook. This whole thing with Jericho's been running long enough now. It's Hook. Okay. If you need to comment down below on it, but I definitely think it is going to be Hook. If you think it's going to be Jericho, please let me know. Trios match. For the Trios titles. The Patriarch versus the Bang Bang Gang versus my favorite, the House of Black, and a team to be determined. They haven't decided who that team is going to be yet. It's supposed to be a 4-way ladder match for this thing. What House of Black? House of Black, I mean, it's probably going to be the Patriarchy that wins, but I'm taking House of Black. Why? Because I like the House of Black. I would go out for punishment. We also have on 0 Hour, we're going to have Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii versus Statlander and what the hell is his name? Stokely. The 0 Hour match. It's probably going to be Ishii and Willow Nightingale that win, which just makes no sense to me. Just have Statlander win the feud. Have Statlander move on. If you're going to make Statlander maybe be the next women's title challenger for Toni Storm, if you decide you want to go that route, then you got to build up Statlander a little bit more than what you're doing. So, there. Either way, guys, that was AEW Dynamite. This is DA Wrestling. Make sure you follow us on all the socials on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, all those places there. Make sure you follow Doug at DLions1991, me at DA Wrestling on X, But guys, make sure you have a good little time. Keep a stick on the ice. By the way, Joey Votto retired today. All the best to you, Joey Votto. You're one hell of a Canadian. Have a good night, everybody. That was AEW Dynamite.